the chat. Would you tell us a little bit about your journey that took you from where you were a couple 4 years ago to like now owning this incredible portal to Ascension? And I'm just calling it the world's leading events for spiritual enlightenment.
Sure. Well, it's been kind of consistent for the last 10 years because I started Portal to Ascension 18 years ago. 2008 was when
Mhm.
I first started it. And, with the journey that actually led to that point really was just a search for existence and meaning in life, really wondering why we're here on this planet and feeling that something was off. That was kind of like what really started it for me. But instead of going into like the depth of my story, the real concept that came into my mind when I was 18 years old was, what is the root of all religion? That's how it really all started. And the reason why I wanted to know the root of all religion was because I was raised Hindu and I saw similarities in Hinduism and Christianity. And I really wanted to see how can these two seemingly completely opposite religions, one based on monotheism, one not based on monotheism, one that's polytheistic, even though that's not really the case. Hinduism really isn't a polytheistic religion. And I was thinking, how could they be so similar if they're supposed to be so different? And I was told they evolved separately from each other. So I was looking for the root of all religion. Took me down a rabbit hole for a good 8 years until 2008. 2008 is when I created the platforms doing small events. And 2016 is when it became full time for me, where I was started doing 70 events a year since 2016. And the online platform is really what has helped get Portal to Ascension to a level where I can experiment with other things. So I do online events, webinars. I was using Zoom way back in the beginning days. And then, of course, the world started being more and more into online events, and I'd already been doing it for like 6, 7 years. So just by doing those online events, it gave me the opportunity to start going back into live event productions. And I did, many conferences since then, which is truly, I love doing the online events, but I love the level of like intention and connection that you get at a live event. You can't really always get online. So I love creating those as well.
That's amazing. And your events are so wonderful and the containers that you hold. And I know you've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people come through them. You do cruises and trips to sacred sites is really, truly amazing. I'd love to know, so you had this idea way back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, what kind of identity do you need to hold? So, what are some of you know what I'm saying? What are some of the internal thoughts? I want to give people kind of some insight because you actually reach out to big speakers. You get a yes. You get people saying yes to you like nobody else. I've seen you work your magic in person, and you have this incredible quality about you. People just are drawn to you like a magnet, and they just want to be in your world. Will you talk us through what you
Yeah.
do on the back end?
Yeah, I'll give you three different things here. I will say the first thing that really led me to doing what I do is a deep level of curiosity. Very open, very curious. Um, and w- Instead of thinking that I now know and this is the ultimate truth, I feel like I've always had that I'm always open to new information, shifting how I believe and what I believe. So that has led me on a quest to worked with over 4,000 speakers at this point, created over 5,000 events in since 2008. And I've been the sponge. I've been absorbing everything, so being very curious and then getting to a point where I had the opportunity, whenever I'm curious about something, I just create an event on it, like um Atlantis. Oh, I've obviously know a lot about Atlantis, but like all of us do here, probably a little bit actually. So, but I wanted to know more. So I did a 2 day event on Atlantis, 22 hours, 11 hours a day with the best experts in the world on Atlantis. I'm Indian, so I wanted to know tens of thousands of years of history of India. So I did an event called the Indus Valley in ancient Indian civilization. It was 3 day event. It was about 8 hours a day, and we did 100,000 years of Indian history. So I've really been able to, I guess, in some ways, utilize and monetize my curiosity, and then I would say intention and love. When you are in when you go into, I'm not going to name any platforms, but almost every major consciousness platform out there, you don't know the people behind the scenes. You don't know the intention, the struggles, the journey they've been on. And I think as healers, this is going to help you out a lot, is sharing your story openly with your community, showing that you're human and what you're going through. And I do mission update emails. I'm doing all this promotional emails. We send 2 emails out a week nonstop. I have a year and a half of events already scheduled, automated, planned out in the future. And but every 4 to 5 months, I send PTA mission update, a message from Neil, email. And it's literally like what just happened last 4 to 5 months, 6 months, what's going on in the world, what's happening with disclosure, what are new discoveries happening in the world, my challenges, and what's been happening with me. I separated from my ex-wife 4 years ago. I was open about that and how like hard it was to keep running Portal to Ascension, with all these challenges and a deep level of depression that came from that separation. So that's one component. But the love energy, when I do my events, we do opening of ceremonies. We talk about the story of how we got there, live or online. We do closing ceremonies. We have give everybody a voice, right? And you don't really see that when you go to a mainstream consciousness online video platform. You don't see that when you go to an expo, but you see that at our events. And so people feel that they are a part of it rather than just an attendee, just a person paying money. They feel that they're part of a family rather than like a transaction, right? And then the last one is, there's always a solution. There's always a solution. I don't ever feel like, in this world, now that I realize we're in a simulation, I'm like, I just got to code the simulation to work, make it work for me. So that's the thing, that whenever something comes up, that's a challenge. It's just another opportunity for you to figure out another route to get closer to your eventual goals. And after years and years of doubts and limitations and fear, right? And since you guys are healers, you can probably relate to this. Sometimes it could be fearful when you're not working a regular mainstream or job where you're clocking in, clocking out, getting a paycheck, because you're responsible for every level of your income. The website, the funnel, the clicks throughs, the assistants, the emails, every single part of that, you know? And so when you're starting out, so you jump from one world into another world. Now you jump from the corporate world, now you're in this world, and you haven't even set up this new world yet to be financially feasible. That's even more scary. I did that like 8 times before it actually became financially feasible. I kept jumping back to the corporate world because I kept screwing up, but maybe more like learning lessons. And so it can be very scary on that level, and it has been. But I've been doing this since 2008, 2016. Since 2016, I've never worked for anybody else. I've just been doing Portal to Ascension. I would say the first 2016 to 2020 were the most bumpy parts, where I was literally paycheck to paycheck with my income from Portal to Ascension. Very scary. And then it shifted after that. So I had a moment where I was like, I thought there was no solutions. I was limiting myself. I was scared. I was like, this is my financial cap. People aren't into this stuff. Oh my God, people aren't going to come anymore. Imposter syndrome. Oh my God, I had mad imposter syndrome. And then I get to a point where how long does it take for you to be successful or to be taken care of before you start realizing that everything's going to always be okay? you know? And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, my nervous system is this like a childhood wound coming into my life, my adult life, right? It's like my nervous system is realizing I'm safe, that everything will be fine. And I have so I we do Portal Ascension literally everything within the consciousness space. We have services for every single person, for every single thing that I could think of at this moment. And it's allowed me to always now say to myself that if one thing stops working or isn't working or the energy shifts, I am valuable enough to myself and to the world to also pivot and still stay within assisting the planet with consciousness. If that makes any sense. So
Oh, wow. Neil, I love that. You guys, I want to just unpack some of that a little bit, and I want you to write some of this down. What Neil just said, I am valuable enough. That's an identity statement. I am valuable enough that if something doesn't work or if things shift, we can change it. Like people are still going to come. Do you guys hear Neil's certainty here as well as he talks to you. Hear that? Like he's like, I'm just getting curious. But in my curiousness, like he's so certain that there is people going to always come to his events. So write down on your identity statement, certainty, like you get to have certainty. And for Neil, I want to understand because you're right. Being an entrepreneur like us is scary. There's fear that comes up. How do you personally work through that fear as it comes up? And I can only imagine at your level doing these events where 3,000 people are coming and you've got, 100 plus 200 vendors and 50 speakers. How do you deal with that? What's your
Yeah.
process?
And the best example would be the expo because that was definitely a real great example of shifting from fear. So I'll just give you the story about it. The expo had been going on for 23 years. Even though it had actually roots in 1982, it just changed names twice. So technically, it's been consistent since 1982. The name just shifted 2 times. But this version of it, 23 years old. So newlivingexpo.com is the website, and I went ahead and I purchased it this year to add it to the 70 events we do, because the past owner was ready to retire, but I'm just beginning. Even though I've been beginning for over a decade now, I'm still just beginning, and because the energy is right for consciousness right now. This is the time to do more, not to do less. And as so I took it on, a lot of back and forth negotiating. I purchased the event and then started creating this event. Of course, like this is an expo, it's going to give me a live event. I do online events with thousands of people. I've done live events with up to 500 people, but I've never done a live expo event with 3,000 plus people with exhibitors. I don't do exhibitors. I'm a speaker, producer, we have conferences with like 5 exhibitors. So this is like a whole other level of management, outdoor music stage, 125 exhibitors, 120 speakers, 140 presentations, 8 simultaneous rooms going on at the same time, logistics, hotels, all this stuff, right? So, but I'm excited. I take it on. I'm like, this is it. Everything I've ever done in my history of production literally led to this moment. It was all of every merit I've ever acquired led to me getting to the point where I had to use it on this event. So I'm in the event, and now all types of things are happening. People are coming, people are going. People I thought I could trust weren't. It wasn't working out. People that made promises weren't following through. 4 or 5 people in the team that were the first core original team left, and then another series of people. Then I had to let someone else go because they weren't the right fit. All while I'm already late to launch this event because I took it on after months after it ended the year before. So I'm trying to frantically get the website up, schedule up, get everybody booked. Need the schedule on the website because people need to see what's going on what day because they might not be able to purchase the ticket for the day they're coming on. So there's all these deadlines, nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. All at the same time, I'm trying to get the tickets for sale so that we can have the people come in because this event can go one of two ways. For the last 3 years, it's been decreasing in attendance. People are tired of this event because it didn't have new energy. It was on its way out. So it could either I could invest all this money and then I could just flop it and then I've lost all this money and now I'm obligated for it. And at the same time, the event will just fizzle out because I did the same as I did last year or he did last year or worse, right? That was a fear. Or it could be so successful that I literally resurrect this event and I give it CPR and it goes into the future. So I'm tracking the registrations and sales over the last few months. And I'm like, oh my God, like we want 3,000 people. 2 months ago, we had 300 people signed up. Okay. So I'm like every single challenge I've ever had, my boundaries, my limitations, communication, leadership skills, all coming to the surface, and all the traumas and wounds as a child that inhibited those also there at the surface, right? With a fear that I'm going to go bankrupt. Like it's like after all this time and energy that I've been like chilling, now I'm like, oh my God, what the heck's gonna happen next? I'm so stupid. Why do I always do this shit and choose to pick up stuff and bite off more than I could chew, so to speak. So then people telling me, hey, yo, 80% of the people sign up at the door for expos. That's just how it works. And I'm like, okay, I can understand that, but I don't get it. So 2 months ago, while this was happening and I was deep, like 12 hours a day of work, I was like, man, I can't let this to say give me so much paranoia right now. It can't make me so stressed because I want to go into this event production with love and high intention and high vibration. I don't want to go into this event with this like fear of lack because I'm just going to reflect into this event. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to look at the numbers anymore because the numbers won't change based on anything else I'm doing. Because what I'm doing is giving it every single ounce of my being, my energy, my love, my intention, my delegation, my leadership, everything that I can. I gave it everything, so much so that I was literally in a coma for the last week, not being able to move because my body just crashed. Right, that's how much energy I gave. And all my team are basically bedridden for a week. Seriously. So gave it all this love and attention, and then I was like, and then I'm going to shift to the other thing. So this is the answer to the question. Instead of being fearful about who's going to attend, let me be curious about what it's going to look like, and let me do enough work within myself to know that I've done everything without leaving any stone unturned, so that no matter what the outcome is, I will still be happy with myself, right? And so that's what I did. I just decided, let me just do what I can do so that I feel that even if we had 1,000 people and people were upset because we need 3,000 to make it successful for all the exhibitors, I won't be upset at myself because I know I gave it my all. And then the consequence was I gave it everything and it became more of a success than I ever thought it would be. And we resurrected the event and it's going to grow from now onwards.
Wow, I love that so much, Neil. Woo! People are saying they're just getting a shift just by hearing your story. And it's so powerful when, for us all to understand that we're all going to bump into very real fear and worry and doubt when we're operating at certain levels. And even some of us can keep that from even starting the game. But I love how you said, Neil, that we're in a simulation. I agree. We're in a simulation where we code the energy. You're in charge of coding the energy. And what I love that you shared so much is you had a moment where you had to make a decision. Am I going to code into the fear? Am I going to code into the numbers? Or am I just going to pull back and put it all down on the table and not focus on the lack, but focus on what am I creating? What can I get curious about? And what I know about your events is they're so filled with love. There's an energy that Neil brings. And I want to ask you actually how you do this because it's so fascinating. But you walk into a love vortex and it's just so magnetic and so beautiful and magical. So it's just, I want you guys to really put that down on your piece of paper. Write down something of that transmission. Neil, what identity did Neil have to have in order to break from the fear? What did he go into? He went into, I'm just going to get curious. I'm going to be certain that I'm going to leave everything I have. And I love what you said. The outcome does not matter. The outcome does not matter. I'm going to be good with myself,
Yeah.
which is incredible. Truly, truly incredible when you can navigate those hard spots and just know I've done the very best I as a human being can do. I also loved how you said, Neil, and I'm curious to know how many of you guys feel this because you and I were going through a very similar thing, only just in totally a different way. These last couple weeks, it was like certain, like all of the childhood wounds all at once, and the leadership skills and the boundaries and everything was getting challenged like all at once. It felt like, did anybody else experience that over the last month or so, where it felt like everything you were going through was getting challenged all at once? Just want to hear from you in the chat. If you did, then odds are your leadership is being called up even more. that you're being formed even more to be that new earth leader, that next level healer. So we only get these intense challenges when the universe is like, you ready? You ready for your next level? All right, here we go. Let's see how you handle the challenges. So I love this story so much, Neil. It's so inspirational. Would you share with us anything, like any practical tips that you do to create your field of love, but also what you do practically speaking for your nervous system, in order to not let that fear take hold? And so you
Yeah.
can serve so many thousands of people.
Well, first thing is to realize that even if the fear comes up, because I did go through it. Like it was layers. Things come in layers. I thought I'd worked through a lot of things in life. I thought I'd got to a point where I wasn't so concerned with my online webinars, which my online event platform is 80% of my income source. It literally funds Portal to Ascension. And so I got to a point after years of trial and error and trusting, moving into a knowingness, moving into seeing the data, even where I was just like, okay, this is going to be set. We've established ourselves in this. And now then I jumped into a whole other level of production, and this event. And as I did this, a whole other level set of fear comes about. I would give a before I get into like also some tools, I'd like to also share about um businesses and just the whole business mindset. You know, I figured for a long time, because I was so anti-capitalism, anti-business, that I did things quite um or how can I say it, in a way where it did not affect the productivity and the growth of my business because I was so anti-business. Okay. And in this world, you can see a lot of us, we know the system isn't the way it should be. We know the monetary system isn't the way it should be. Those things creep up in little levels to really big levels in within our consciousness. So what I started doing is I started really looking at how businesses are run and structured within this world. And I made certain shifts um, with the way I lead and my delegation and getting it on a team and creating some sort of structural hierarchy with my business, even getting an operations manager, all the things that I needed in order to really assist with me with the places that I thought I was weak. And in the beginning days, I kind of had an ego about it. I was so excited about what I've created that I wouldn't even take feedback too much from people because of how successful and abundant I'd got. It was almost a direct attack on me, you know? So getting to a point where I stopped, where I started taking that feedback and then also moving from no one can do it better than me. Has anybody ever said that before? To I can't wait to find the person that can do it better than me
Mm,
because that's what we want. Like we want someone that can help us out, support us in the mission. Another thing I'll share, like this is all business stuff. I think this will help you guys. For me, it's I didn't want to give people tasks I didn't like. Emails, video editing, graphic design, website design. Because in the beginning days, I was doing all of that because I learned all those skills. And I didn't want to give it to someone because I didn't like doing them. It was so boring. And because I didn't like doing it, I projected onto others that other people wouldn't want to do it as well because I don't like doing it. And so I would be, even when I would hand those tasks off to people, I'd be apologetic. Like to my VAs or graphic designer, okay, do you think you could do this for me? Like walking on eggshells. And I've shifted now, realizing that, man, I'm just me and I like what I like, but there are certain people that literally like doing those tasks. I don't know, I can't fathom why, but they like it. Some people like to lead, some people like to follow, and it's okay. Here, it doesn't matter which one's which. Some people want to be given tasks and then compartmentalize those tasks, go home afterwards, and not worry about it. Other people want to have their business and their life fully integrated completely, like myself, you know? So, those are just some tools there. Now, in regards to the fear, again, let's go back to what I was started with is it's okay to feel fear because you're going to go through layers, you're going to take on new projects, there's going to be new things. So the first thing is not to be to push it away. It's to notice that it comes up. And when it comes up, see if you can make a mental shift in your mind into, let me be present for this. Let me feel the fear. Let me move into the curiosity of it. If you want to do tools and techniques, there's two. I would say it's so simple for me. I got simple things that I do: gratitude and forgiveness. Those are the meditations that I go with. You know, let me just be grateful for the fact I can do this. How many times do I forget that I am able to travel the world and be anywhere where I want at any time I want to be? I'm about to leave to Singapore in a few hours and have 4 months out in Asia. And I get to do all this because of what I've created, you know? And, or you can go into, maybe you're not there yet. I get to be doing something that I love that is helping the world, right? Instead of, this is another technique. I'm just throwing things out. You got to use AI to transcribe this. And instead of as I said that, I forgot what I was gonna say. Go figure.
Oh,
So
you were talking about the two techniques you use. You use gratitude and forgiveness.
okay, yeah. So oh, instead of, how many people have said, "Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this." And yes, there's a lot of things that you don't want to do. You're sitting at home eating a meal. You got to go to the store, grab something for your partner or something, and you're like, "Oh man, I have to go to the store." Right? But how many times have you used it in things that you chose yourself to do? Right? And I chose to do New Living Expo from a place of like way excitement. I chose to do Portal to Ascension from that. And I realized I'm all often saying, I have to do, oh, I can't do that because I have to do this. So I changed it to, I get to do this. I get to do this. And it shifts the energy, shifts the vibration. It makes it more playful, you know, because you chose to do it. So might as well say you get to do it so that you can do something that brings you closer to not only impacting the world, but also having a positive effect on your life.
I love it.
I'll share one last thing: the fear element with gratitude, great gratitude, being grateful for everything, and then forgiveness. This is something that's new for me because ever since I first woke up to this awareness, 2006, 2005, people were telling me to forgive the trauma that happened to me. But the way I have to forgive that trauma is to first feel the pain that I went through instead of just going straight to forgiveness. I couldn't feel the pain because I was so disassociated, I was so disconnected from the pain. And then I became so overly spiritual that I saw the pain as a necessary thing that led me to be able to create portals to ascension. So I never even had the anger towards the atrocities that happened to me as a child. And then I started shifting into moving from that anger and into pairing that you should have forgiveness to what had happened to you. But how could I forgive myself if I didn't like myself? How could I forgive others for doing something that's criminally wrong, right? So that continued for most of my life, and I've had many interviews on Portal Ascension where I've been curious about forgiveness, talking to people about forgiveness. What's your take on it? How do you get to it? You know, and so then just about 4 or 5 weeks ago, after we finished the cruise in Greece, one of my friends and speaker, Phil Gruber, was on the cruise, and he just said, "Forgive, forgive, forgive, whatever, forgive this, forgive that." And I'm like, "Let me try this meditation." So I'm sitting in Athens a few weeks ago after the cruise at the Airbnb, and in the morning I'm like, "Let me try this forgiveness thing, and see if I can like really, you know, work on that." And because why do you, how can you forgive something that's so terrible, right? And I heard that forgiveness is all about what it means. Forgiving is not for the other person who you're forgiving, is you're forgiving someone for yourself. It's the energetic cord. You could be forgiving an external person, not even you, but it's only for you to do that. That person's not even hearing you, right? They're not even in front of you. So I started forgiving. I started forgiving my mom, my dad, you know, the great parents. I always got to give the disclaimer because I love them, but definitely were strict Indian conservative parents. My dad's sister, my aunt, who was the one who molested me as a child, I was forgiving her. Um, I was forgiving all types of people and my friends and my family, you know, friends that I didn't even think I needed to forgive. Side note, I woke up, my friend Chris that I was living with, that Alyssa knows, came out, you know, of his room a couple hours later because, you know, it was the morning. We're staying together. And I was like, I forgave you this morning. And we just started laughing our asses off. And then for the next 3 nights in a row, I would be like, when he's like, "You ready to go?" I'm already forgave you because I just like did the meditation, you know? And so started doing this forgiveness, and I fell and I dropped into a 0 point field like I've never felt before. Bliss, stillness. I could sit there for hours. It was insane. Like I've been meditating for a like a long time, but I never created that. It was the I dropped into the 0 point, and now I'm working with forgiveness more and more. And so as time progressed, a couple of weeks progressed, I'm doing the forgiveness meditation, and it's you're doing it for like I got 3 songs on. It's like 24 minutes or something altogether. You run out of things to forgive, so you're going in cycles, right? Circles and circles. So at one point, all of a sudden to my mind comes, I forgive God. And I was like, and I stopped, right? And I was like, why would I forgive God? God doesn't need my forgiveness. But then what came to me was, again, I'm not forgiving God for God. God doesn't give a crap if I forgive God, whatever God is, source, consciousness, everything. I'm forgiving it because I have acquired resentments against creation subconsciously my whole life because of what has happened to me, hidden within me, that I blocked out. Every single day of every single moment where things happen incorrectly, there might be some level of like that frustration with creation. So I started forgiving God in my meditations, and it just started creating this energetic cord that I felt started dissipating and bringing my own life force back into my body. So those have been some good tools for you to not allow the negative, for myself to not allow the external world to affect how I feel internally.
I love it. Boom, mic drop. Don't allow the external world to allow how you feel internally. That's it. That's everything right there in a nutshell. This is pure gold, Neil. And I love the forgiveness practice of everyone who's ever hurt you, your business partner who's traveling with you, like to keep practicing forgiveness because you guys also know that because of the law of thought transfer, that we are connected actually with all the simulation, all the things. And so if we're running codes that are not forgiving of people who have wronged us, it just kind of keeps perpetuating us to be hurt again and again and again and again, especially by those people if they're still in our lives. And so this is just absolutely gold, Neil. But I love this notion, and it's one of my big ones. Write it down on your piece of paper, you guys, because Neil and I both have this, and we're both successful entrepreneurs. Is we simply do not allow the outside world to affect how we're feeling internally. I mean, anything could happen. I had a whole thing happen at a retreat last week. You would not have known it because I did not let it impact me internally. It's like, okay, well, we're rolling with this. Great. What do we got to do? I got curious, right? I went like Neil, like what now has to happen in order to make the magic happen? So beautiful, Neil. So, so beautiful. And what an inspiration you are to the people because I feel like, there's so many folks here that want to go for that big vision or have a vision that they have. But what does happen is so many things get in the way. And what I notice about humans is we start to tell ourselves all the reasons why something can't happen versus all the reasons why something can happen. And one of the things I notice about you that you consistently do so beautifully is you don't spend a lot of time in the other place. You acknowledge it. You're like, yep, this could go wrong. Yep, that's a thing. But I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna go into the best possible case scenario. I'm gonna go into the best possible solutions. This is so beautiful. Um,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'll share one more thing there based on what you said. So the whole not letting the external world affect you internally. So this is the way duality works. Most of the people that are whatever I'm saying, you could probably figure that I was on the opposite of that at one point, right? Because that's how the world works. Like I wanted to figure out how to feel better internally because I always felt like shit my whole life, and internally the external world affected me so much. All these um my authority figures, people that was supposed to be my caretakers. So I had lost my identity at an early age. It had been merged into this external world. So what I did was about November 18, 2024, because it was the day after my birthday, I decided I'm going to cut out all things that I consume and ingest and drink in the world that is an external way for me to feel something internally, right? So that's the last day I drank. That's the last day I had coffee. I got to be honest, I started drinking matcha and I'm addicted now though. But matcha is a deflammatory, okay, not inflammatory.
Right.
So yeah, I literally just did that, and I was like, even like phone time, I created an app blocker on my phone. I can't access almost all my apps that are distractions until 10 a.m. They're blocked out completely. Can't even change the block. So I did that in order for me to start rewiring my brain to see the beauty in each moment, really, to disconnect from allowing the external world to feel good and going on a journey of let me just create that spark within me so I don't need to fill myself up with external things to feel at peace to myself.
Oh my gosh, Neil, that's gold. And did you guys hear it? Every one of us who's doing things in the world that we want to be doing now has had that moment, the old identity moment, where everything was a contrast. It was total opposition to what we are now. And I personally think that's what you guys are here to do, is to alchemize the contrast. Neil is a fabulous alchemizer. Like, this man can alchemize like nobody's business. And once you get the understanding or the understanding that, oh, a little contrast, that's totally fine. I eat contrast for breakfast. Guess what? Like, I'm going to be able to alchemize that. So Neil's got that really strong confidence. He's like, I can just alchemize this. I can transform any situation. These are and it's the reason why I brought Neil on. These are the identity level beliefs that people doing big things in the world have. Neil knows he's going to fuel his body. He's not going to put things in there that give him that external feeling. He's going to make those choices and really nourish his insides well so that his insides can feel well, right? It's a part of the process. So, oh, Neil, this has been absolute magical gold. Will you guys do me a favor? Will you drop in the chat what your biggest golden nugget has been from Neil today? Yeah, Sylvia, don't be afraid of the fear. I think, Neil, you're right. So many people are afraid of feeling the fear. And here's what I notice, you guys. And Neil, I wonder if you can speak to this real quick. I notice when people feel fear, they'll start to scramble and chase or collapse completely. So they'll chase after what it is they want and like maybe chase after the money or chase after the person or chase after whatever, or they'll collapse. Versus I feel fear. What I do is I'm just like, okay, fear, come here. I got you. I'm strong enough to hold you. You get over here. And I just hold that fear in my heart and I love on it. And I'm like, what? Tell me all the things you're afraid of. Okay, I've got you. My consciousness has you. Okay, now that you've told me all the things you're afraid about, great, thank you. Now let's shift it together. Let's shift that feeling together. Like, what could happen if the best possible things happen today? What could happen if we allow more miracles in our life than ever before? What could happen if we get outside and look at the sunshine and be like, holy crap, I'm breathing, I'm alive today. You know?
Yeah. Is that the question for me?
Yeah, what do you have, I don't know
Okay.
what my question was. I'm just talking. I'm excited.
No,
You got
no.
me all excited.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, as you're saying, this is what is coming up for me. Because I love science. My presentations are a lot about science and spirituality, how they connect. So in the last few thousand years, maybe 13,000 years, maybe less, maybe more for some of the planet, humanity has been at a little bit of a primitive age, let's say at least 6,000 years, because we could have had higher levels of consciousness before then in Egypt and different places in the world. And what happened was we had devolved in consciousness to a point where we were kind of fending for ourselves, and it was survival of the fittest on planet in many places. Our amygdala increased in size. our response, which is called flight, fight, or freeze response, was kicked in like hardcore because you had to run away from a tiger or a wild beast, or be concerned that you didn't eat the right thing, or you got um, poisoned by a certain plant or something like that, right? That happened a lot. So our body was really just the animalistic part of ourselves was online. So much so it had to protect us from nature. And then all of a sudden we evolve in about 100 years. Over the in what had taken us thousands of years to get to that point, we evolve out of in about 100 years. And I would say for some of the world, it's only 50 years because not the whole world, most of the world was not industrialized. You know, the countries they called third world countries 30 years ago are no longer third world. They're like look better than places in the US, right? This if the third world doesn't exist anymore, we need to get rid of that term. That's only 30 years ago, right? So um, now, because of that, humanity's mind has not yet shifted from the fact that we are constantly in perpetual fight, flight, or freeze to protect ourselves from the environment. So our mind has now gone into imposing those things, fight, flight, or freeze, in things that are no longer scary as being almost killed in the wild forest, such as Instagram stories, emails, being late to work. So now our mind is freaking out on the same level it did with those moments in situations that actually are not a detriment to our life. And so what's occurring is that we feel inherently, not everybody, but inherently, there's a default history of the human biology that makes people feel that they're not safe of their environment. They need to protect themselves. It's the thing that we're evolving out of. So I would say if there's one thing that we should all collectively work on is that we will be safe no matter what. Because in this day and age, especially if you live in the US, unless you commit a really bad crime, you're not going to go to jail. You'll still be able to have, um, and for most of the planet, no matter what, you'll still be able to eat. We'll still be able to have shelter. We'll still be able to communicate and talk, right? These fears that we had before that could be taken from us don't exist anymore. And the ones that do exist is because we're always continuously told to have fear that the other is going to take away our inherent right to live. That's what war is all about. The fear of the other taking away your ability to exist. And they make you think that. So I would say get into the state of I am safe no matter what. And whatever it takes, that's a mantra that I do in my body every single day. And that way you can help evolve or increase the speed of your consciousness shifting to being safe rather than where it's been for so many thousands of years.
Oh, Neil, what a mic drop moment. I am safe. Yes, you create your own safety inside of yourself. You create a safety bubble. And Dee says, I am receiving the overtones while you are speaking. Neil, thank you so much for this. I want you to soak up all the love
Thank you,
and
everybody.
chat, you guys. This was amazing, amazing, amazing. Be sure to write down on your follow along guide your golden nuggets from Neil. This was like we're gonna have to transcribe. This was like 100% golden nugget.
Thank you.
100%. This was amazing. And you guys, we put Neil's link, Portal to Ascension, in the chat. You're going to want to stay connected with him. As you well know, he is incredible. He's got so many beautiful offerings. Many of them are just free to attend. Some of them are paid to attend, but you make it so accessible for people. So thank you for being here with us today to just drop this next level healer wisdom on us. I can
Thank
feel
you,
the
Lisa.
identity recoding.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you having me.
Amazing, Neil. Oh my God. And Neil, before you go, wait, I know you got to jump on the plane, but I don't have a music queued up, but we need to let everybody know that you have some beautiful music. It's
Yeah.
High Vibe Raps. And what is it? I'm just really quick. What is it on Spotify?
MC Resonance. I'll put it in the chat. MC Resonance. I just dropped an album with my friend Chris Noble, but I have 4 albums up there. It's spoken word. and hip hop basically with different types of frequencies in the background.
Okay, awesome, you guys. So go to MC Resonance in Spotify, check it out. And in the meantime, we love you, Neil. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
so
Love you too.
amazing. This was just incredible.